World War II is one of the worst wars to have ever taken place on this planet we call home. As with any war, there are always two sides fighting each other. In this case, Japan was fighting against the Allied forces. We have all made a bad call in our lives, but not as bad as the Japanese pilot Shoichi Yokoi. Yokoi suffered a 28-year ordeal in the jungles of the Pacific island Guam, only to be rescued by a group of local hunters, and at the point of his rescue, he still believed the war was still taking place. Welcome to NBD Reels and thanks for joining me yet again for another episode. Before we get into the episode, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button, and please make sure notifications are turned on so that you don't miss any future uploads. Also, this episode will be available as an audio on whatever podcast platform you use.
The Japanese press is taking a seemingly bold attitude toward the United States today, following the announcement of the three-power alliance. The Tokyo newspaper, believed to reflect the government's views, claims America's State Department has mismanaged its affairs so badly that it has made an enemy of Japan.
Japan played a major role in World War II along with Germany and Italy. The country's militaristic government at the time, which was under the leadership of Emperor Hirohito and Prime Minister Hideki Tojo, sought to expand its empire in the Asia and the Pacific region. World War II presented the perfect opportunity to do so for the island nation. In 1940, Japan had formed the Tripartite Pact with Germany and Italy, officially aligning itself with the two European powers. In 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into the war. All of these military adventures required a well-oiled military machine, and Japan had managed to put one together, which also included one of the best air forces in the world at the time. In an effort to stop the Japanese advances in the Pacific, the US Army and Navy stormed the island of Guam, slowly defeating the Japanese army, which led to the disbandment of their troops, who were left with no leadership and guidance. At this point, this is when the 28-year nightmare that Yokoi had to endure in the jungles of Guam began. The year is 1944. The world is at war, and the Pacific theatre of war is in full swing. In the jungles of Guam, a Japanese soldier is about to embark on a journey that will change his life forever. Shoichi Yokoi was a Japanese mechanical engineer and soldier who was sent to fight in World War II by his country. On July the 21st, 1944, American forces invaded the island of Guam and successfully took control of the island. Till this day, the United States still control Guam, but that's another video for another day. Yokoi and others were separated from their unit during the chaos of the battle. Yokoi went into hiding with 9 other Japanese soldiers at the time of the invasion. 7 of the original 9 men eventually moved away, and only 3 remained in the region. These 3 men eventually separated but visited each other periodically until 1964, when the other 2 died in a flood. For the last 8 years of his time in hiding, Yokoi lived alone and never saw another human. Stranded and alone, Yokoi was forced to survive in the jungle for 8 long years. He lived in a cave and subsisted on what he could find in the wilderness, all the while avoiding detection from the American forces and locals. Despite the harsh conditions, Yokoi was resourceful and used his engineering skills to create tools and weapons for survival. He even fashioned a fishing net out of vines and bamboo to catch food. He survived by hunting, primarily at night, to avoid detection by the enemy. He also used native plants to make clothes, bedding, and storage implements, which he carefully hid in his cave. In 1972, Yokoi was finally discovered by a group of local hunters who alerted the authorities immediately. And even when he was eventually discovered by local hunters on the Pacific island on January the 24th, 1972, the now 57-year-old former soldier still clung onto the notion that his life was in danger. Startled by the sight of other humans after so many years on his own, Yokoi tried to grab one of the hunter's rifles, but weakened by years of poor diet, he was no match for the local men. 2 weeks after his discovery in the jungle, Yokoi returned home to Japan to a hero's welcome. He was besieged by the media, interviewed on radio and television, and was regularly invited to speak at universities and in schools across the country. He thereafter had a successful career as an author, and his book was published around the world in many languages, as he kept a record and memoirs of his time in the Guam jungle. The world was shocked to hear of Yokoi's incredible story of survival and determination. He had lived in the jungle for 28 years, isolated and forgotten, but he never lost hope. Shoichi Yokoi's story is one of resilience, perseverance, and human spirit. It reminds us of the power of hope and strength we can draw from within. It will always be remembered as a true survivor and a symbol of human spirit. His story is also considered to be one of the most remarkable survival tales in modern history, and has inspired many people around the world with his perseverance and determination. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you back in the next episode.